Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley will be taking place in only a matter of hours in a boxing match tonight, and I thought I'd give my last minute detailed prediction and breakdown of how I think that fight's going to go down. I've already predicted who I think is going to win that fight earlier this week, but this prediction video is a little bit different. I'm trying to call and predict exactly how this fight is going to go down. Every single minute, every single second, from the start to the finish, however it's going to finish, what finishing move is going to be used. I'm trying to call everything, how many knockdowns there going to be. If there's going to be a decision, I'm going to try and say what the scorecards are going to be. Last minute detailed prediction and breakdown. I don't just pick the fights. I'm putting it all on the line here because I want to be 100% correct on how it goes down. And I think that Jake Paul is going to get this one done. And I'll tell you exactly how. We start the fight. Tyron Woodley's in the cage first, which in my opinion is a very, very bad disadvantage for Tyron Woodley. He's going to be filled with negative energy, nervous energy as well, standing there in the cage with all of the crowd around him in Cleveland, Ohio as well, which is Jake Paul's hometown. And Woodley's going to be getting a little bit cold up there, I think. Walking out first here in a matchup where there's so much on the line, in my opinion, is a huge disadvantage. Jake Paul comes out, and you can see Woodley is shaking out his arms, trying to get some movement going, trying to get himself warmed up a little bit. Jake Paul comes out with his big old robot with the video of Woodley getting KO'd on its chest. Jake Paul enters the cage. I think Jake Paul's going to be very, very stoic, but I think he's going to be sweating quite a lot, and I think people are going to note that as well. I think Jake Paul is going to look the calmer of the two guys, but I think he's going to be absolutely sweating out there because I think he's going to be pent up, nervous, but I don't think that's going to affect the outcome of the fight. The first round is going to begin. They're not going to touch gloves in any way whatsoever, so that's another prediction I can make, but let's talk about the fight itself. Round one. What is the first move that goes down in this fight? I'll tell you what the first move is. Tyron Woodley is going to Nate Robinson, effectively Nate Robinson his way forward immediately in this fight to just show Jake Paul that he's not going to go out there and just back up the whole time, because one thing that Woodley's done in his career, recently in the UFC anyway, is back up the whole time. So I think Woodley's going to prove to himself and everyone watching that he's not here to play around. I think he's going to start the fight extremely, extremely fast and extremely aggressive, and I think they're going to get caught up in the clinch immediately in this fight. I think Woodley's going to start the fight, pressure forward a little bit, and then blitz in with a big combination, and they're going to end up in a clinch. Jake Paul's maybe going to get hit by one glancing blow in that moment as well. They end up in a clinch. Jake Paul ends up turning Woodley around, punching him in the body, punching him in the head. Woodley punches a couple times back, punches in the head again. They separate. The referee separates them. Jake Paul goes, sort of says, oh, okay, you're here to fight, no problem. Sets up his stance a little bit. They move around a little bit. Jake Paul starts flicking some jabs out. This is all within the first 30 seconds, by the way, of the round. Jake Paul starts flicking some jabs out there. Misses a couple of them. Goes to the body with a good jab. I think that's something that Jake Paul's going to do very effectively here against Tyron Woodley. Flick out some jabs upstairs. Start going down low with the jab to the body. Start bringing Woodley's hands a little bit lower. Then he's going to start moving around a bit more. I think Woodley's going to be the aggressor here in the first minute of this fight. I think Woodley's going to be the one pressuring Jake Paul backwards. I think towards around the 30-second mark again, Woodley's going to go for another blitz after some jab setups. Just a couple of pump jabs, not really meant to land or anything like that. Just a couple of feints to make Jake Paul think that he's going to throw something. Then he's going to go over the top of it, try and land a big right hand, try and land a left hook. Big shots, rushing forward against Jake Paul. They meet in the clinch again. Over-unders. Jake Paul turns him around, pushes him against the ropes, lands a couple of body shots, couple of punches round the back of the ear of Tyron Woodley. Woodley does the same thing back to just keep up the numbers. They separate again. Now, this is where it gets a little bit different. I think that Tyron Woodley's going to catch Jake Paul at one moment in this fight, and I think he's going to catch him quite clean. But I think Jake Paul's going to take that shot. I think Jake Paul is going to go back to feinting a jab, land one to the body again, which is going to be very effective for him here. Land a good jab to the body on Tyron Woodley, and this is around the 40-second mark of the fight again. Jake Paul lands another good jab to the body of Woodley, tries to set it up with a right hand afterwards. It doesn't land. He goes back to his stance. This time he tries to jab to the face after landing a couple of them low to the body. Woodley times the jab of Jake Paul and lands a great right hand right over the top on the top of Jake Paul's top of his head. He's going to take it well. He's not going to go down, but it's going to be a big shot. It's going to be picture worthy. There's going to be like sweat and liquid spraying off of Jake Paul's head when it lands. Big shot from Woodley. Jake Paul takes it well and sort of nods it, but moves backwards, realizes that Woodley's got a bit of power now. Woodley charges in again. We end up in the clinch clinch again around the minute mark of the first round. Jake Paul separates, goes back to the jab to the body, but this time Woodley's a little bit more aggressive, blitzes in again, gets clinched up with, they separate on their own rather than the referee coming in. Woodley lands a good jab, Jake Paul comes back, jabs upstairs, lands another solid jab to the body of Tyron Woodley, I believe, then lands a good maybe check hook as Woodley comes in with his own jab. I think Woodley's going to throw his own jab, set it up, try and make it a little bit more convincing this time rather than a couple of pump fakes. Jake Paul lands with a check hook, Woodley goes in again, ends up in the clinch, tries to land some body shots on the break, and he actually does land a couple of good ones this time, as they're a little bit more separate, so he can get some power behind those hooks to the body. Jake Paul circles round again, jabs Woodley to the body, and this is where it changes. In that last clinch break, Woodley has Jake Paul against a cage, lands a couple of good body shots, or against the ropes, sorry, in a boxing ring. I'm the MMA guru after all. Lands some good body shots on Jake Paul, against the cage, or against the ropes, fuck's sake, in the corner of the ring. Then, when they separate, Jake Paul is going to frame himself off to where he is now in the center of the ring, and Woodley is stuck in the corner. Jake Paul lands a jab to the body, lands a jab upstairs, looks for his uppercut, and I think it's going to land very good, and Woodley's going to kind of fall into the clinch of Jake Paul and be on him a little bit desperately here. Minute 30 of the first round still, by the way. They clinch up for a little bit, around 10 seconds, they separate, Woodley gets away, gets back to the center of the cage, Jake Paul's moving a little bit better than Woodley now, lands another jab to the body of Tyron Woodley, lands another jab upstairs. I think then, around the 2-minute mark, Woodley's going to start to get a little bit frustrated, start winging some big overhands to counter Jake Paul's jabs, trying to land a hook over the jab of Jake Paul, trying to land those check hooks. I think he's going to miss a bunch of them, in all honesty. I think he's going to miss about 3 or 4 strikes in a row on Jake Paul, as Jake Paul just jabs him in the face, jabs him in the body, moves backwards, relocates himself, reestablishes himself, jabs to the body again. Woodley misses another overhand. Around the 2 minutes 30 mark of the round, Woodley's going to go after Jake Paul once he has him cornered around. He's going to start cutting off the ring a little bit. Paul's going to be moving around, keeping his distance, pumping a jab out there. Woodley's going to start cutting off the ring, doing a couple of feints, maybe a couple of fake level changes, just to mix in some of that MMA aspect as well, who knows. Goes after him, really starts to unload on Jake Paul, lands a couple of big shots. Jake Paul moves backwards, covers his head against the ropes, leans back on the ropes. Woodley misses upstairs, but then he starts ripping to the body and starts making some noise. The crowd starts getting amped up. Everyone starts cheering for Tyron Woodley. He starts landing big shots, but they're sort of bouncing off the guard of Jake Paul. Woodley's now got his moment. He's got his momentum. He's got his big moment. Now it's time to finish Jake Paul. I'm going to go for him here. It's time to land. Jake Paul catches Woodley with a clean left check hook straight on the chin. Woodley sinks to his knees, lands face first on the ground, is still conscious, but Jake Paul will land that check hook as Woodley starts to get some momentum for himself after closing down Jake Paul against the ropes. Jake Paul's going to lean back on the ropes, dodge some shots from Woodley. Woodley's going to start unloading with some big shots because he's frustrated that he's been out-jabbed for a couple of minutes beforehand. And I think that Woodley's going to get chinned in that sequence. I think he's going to swing a big shot, get a little bit over-aggressive, leave his hands in a bad position, and Jake Paul's going to swing with everything he has in a massive, powerful left hook straight on the chin of Tyron Woodley, put him down, make him wobbly, face first on the canvas. I think Tyron Woodley is going to be down. I think the referee is going to look at Woodley. Woodley is going to do this, and I'm going to make an extra prediction here. God, if this works, I'll be a genius. Here's what's going to happen. Tyron Woodley's going to be down on the ground, really badly hurt, but still with us, around the 3 count of the 10 count that he's going to get in that fight. 3 on the clock, or on the timer of the referee. The referee's count is at number 3. Tyron Woodley is on his knuckles on the ground and his knees, and he's going to posture himself up, look around a little bit, and the referee's going to look, you've got to get up. 4, 5, Woodley's going to look to the ground and shake his head to himself like, fuck, I've just been knocked down by Jake Paul. The referee is going to take that as a sign that the fight is now over, and they're going to stop the fight. Woodley's going to get back up afterwards and go, what? I wasn't out of the fight, and I think it's going to be a bit of an early stoppage after 1 knockdown from Jake Paul, because that's what boxing wants. Let's be real, Jake Paul to win, Jake Paul to move on, take on other guys, Jake Paul to get the win over the MMA guy. They're going to be in favour of Jake Paul here. I think Woodley's going to be down on his knees and his hands. Referee's going to say, you've got to get up. Woodley's going to look up, think, fuck, I've been KO'd, I've just been knocked down by Jake Paul, but wants to get back up, still wants to get back up, but as he does this movement, fuck, shakes his head a bit. Referee's going to step in, call it off. Woodley's going to get back up, complain to the referee. Everyone's going to complain a little bit, but they will justify it by the fact that Jake Paul slumped Woodley at one point in the fight and knocked him down really badly. I'm going to call an early stoppage after one knockdown against Tyron Woodley. Left hook KO. And I'm going to call it with 15 to 10 seconds left in round 1. Me gusta. If it goes to a decision, they're going to favour Jake Paul. If you're looking for other predictions, I think Woodley's going to have his moment after getting out-jabbed early, have a decent moment at the start of the round, have a big moment at the end, get overexcited, get overconfident, leave his hand down in a bad position. Jake Paul's going to swing a massive shot back and slump him. Early stoppage, 1 round, 1 knockdown. Tyron Woodley gets it called off, and we stop it. And Jake Paul moves on and takes on someone else, I guess. Other than that, though, I do believe... No, but Anthony Taylor versus Tommy Fury. Let's talk about that one. That's the only other fight I really care about on the card. Tommy Fury, English lad, of course, from the Fury family, representing proud over there in America. I think, is it just Tommy Fury first round obliteration, rape, molestation? I don't know what he's going to do to Anthony Taylor, but I'm not buying into Anthony Taylor's little fucking fairy tale that he's painting out for himself. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's... If I'm going to predict this fight as well, I'll say Tommy Fury goes right out there, sets up a couple of jabs, bulldozes forward, lands a couple of good shots to the body, then sets up a jab to a shimmy step in, lands a 2 right down the pipe, on an offbeat, on Anthony Ivy, rocks him really badly, puts him against a cage, blitzes him real big, hits him to the body, hits him to the head. Anthony Ivy's shelling up because he's rocked real bad. I don't think he gets knocked out. I don't think he gets put down. I think it's going to be a standing TKO stoppage. I know in boxing, you don't really get... once it's like such a beating on the feet, there's not really like a 10 count or an 8 count or anything like that, is there? Once there's like such a beating on the feet, it can just be stopped. I watched Nigel Benz... or Conor Benz, whoever the new Ben is in the family. I think it's Conor Ben. I watched his fight. He just beat the guy up on the feet for like 10 straight seconds, and the guy wasn't answering back, and they just straight up called off the fight. So I feel like that's what's going to happen here in the Tommy Fury versus Anthony Ivy fight, or Anthony Taylor fight, whatever his fucking name is. I think Tommy Fury goes out there, lands a big shot, concusses him. Anthony Taylor's shelled up. Fury unloads a massive combination against the cage. I don't think Fury puts him down, but I think the referee steps in. Anthony Taylor's not defending himself. He's taken about 20 shots in a row here against the cage, or against the ropes, for fuck's sake, and that's how it's going to go down. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. That's my detailed predictions for this fight card. I'll be there for a fight companion later as well, watching this live about 12:30 midnight, so tune in. Goodbye. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.